All right, guys. He's ready. If you guys have some questions, fire away.
Awesome. Lee, congratulations, man. How's it feel?
It's amazing. I'm so happy and excited, ready to go.
How is this kind of something that you expected in terms of potentially landing with New Orleans?
Yeah, I knew Coach. Talked to Coach Haslett a few times. At the combine, met with him, and then had a few zooms with him, and he stayed in touch. And I knew that he had some interest in me. And when I got the call, I knew I was ready. I was excited.
What was your impression of him from those conversations?
He's a great coach. He's going to make me a better player. He's a straight shooter, and that's what I appreciate in coaches. He doesn't beat around the bush. He told me what I needed to work on, and that he's going to be able to help me with that. And I'm excited that he can. He's honest with me, and I'm going to be ready to work and compete.
What do you think the last season did for kind of building your draft stock and all that?
Yeah, this last season I definitely showed my versatility. Show that I can help in the pass game. Not just only have my hand down. I can be a flex guy and put my hand down, but also flex out. So it kind of just showed my versatility as a tight end.
What was it like being coached by Eric Bieniemy?
It was awesome. I learned a lot from him, especially him having an NFL mind, NFL offense. It kind of just helped me, you know, adapt how to learn quickly, learn on the fly, and then take hard coaching. And that's what I appreciate a lot from Coach Bieniemy.
What would you say that it is that you bring to your next team here?
A fierce competitor. I love to win, but also I'm a great teammate. I love being around the guys. I'm a locker room guy. I'm with the team more than my own family. So it's just I like creating those bonds, and yeah.
What's your kind of role in the locker room? Like, what do people describe you as?
Carefree. You kind of mesh well with everyone. I'm able to talk. I'm never boring. There's not a dull moment in my life. So
How did this day go for you? Obviously, waiting till the 248th pick isn't fun, but to hear your name called that late in the draft had to be kind of a cool moment.
yeah, it was definitely I was late pick whatever. It was just like it was once I heard my name called, once I got the phone call, I was like, okay, my hard work to get me to this point, got me here. Now it's time, buckle up even more and stripe on, stack more days, and create a new level, new journey for me.
Is there a point where you kind of stop watching, or do you and just kind of wait and see if your phone rings? Like, how did you handle that?
Yeah, once it kept on going. I was like, God has got me, and I just was like, okay, if God has a plan, and I was ready for whatever. So I kind of just enjoyed it with the moment. I had my family over, so it's just spending time with them. I haven't seen them in a while, and just taking it all in for sure.
Moliki, you played in the Senior Bowl. How did that help you out with all the competition there with the tight ends? How do you feel about?
Oh, definitely a lot, especially with all the great tight ends that were there. Just showed that I'm just as versatile as them. Can play with them, and also can compete against the great edges that were all there too, and showing like block to see gap, and hold my own against these guys that are all great players that are going to be playing great time in the NFL.
You mentioned that there were some things that y'all talked about in your off-season conversations that you felt like, he would the Saints kind of help you get better at. What are some of those things that you're going to be focusing on when you get here?
Yeah, it's for sure my run game footwork, and just especially now stepping up into this next level. These defensive players, defensive ends, are a different breed. So I got bring my A game, put my hard hat on, and just attack it.
And did you feel like you had contact from a lot of different teams? Like how many would you say you had contact with over the course of the offseason?
Quite a few teams. I would say a lot. So I couldn't tell you a number.
That's okay.
I should know this. What were you on Tyler Shuck's team at the Senior Bowl, or were you on the opposite side?
I was on Tyler Shuck's team.
Yeah, how did that kind of go? Obviously, he was a draft pick 2 days ago or yesterday, I should say.
Um, he was natural leader. You could tell he was a quarterback through and through. Like he knows how to take command, and it also is just kind of a friendly guy. Like it was fun to be around. He knew how to bring us in and get it down. So by the time we're at practice and for the game, we were ready to roll. So he took pride in being that great leader he is, and it was good to play with him.
And you guys just missed each other at Oregon, right?
For about we play. I threw with him I think once. He was there for 2 weeks because I enrolled early at Oregon, and then right as I enrolled early, about 2 or 3 weeks later, he left. So
All right, guys. That's all we got from Moliki. Thank you for your time, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.